안녕하세요. 겟코지 팟캐스트에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 저는 호스트 알리아입니다. 오늘은 니트웨어 커뮤니티의 문화적 전유에 대해 이야기할 것이기 때문에 간식을 먹고 음료를 마시고 아늑함을 누려보세요.
Or that's what I would have said if I would not have abandoned my Duolingo streak. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about AEGYO KNIT and the alleged cultural appropriation that has been happening with her designs. Now, I haven't done much investigation, so we're both about to look at this with fresh eyes. The only thing I've seen is a couple of TikToks that I'll share with you today, as well as reading the comments on this craft snark Reddit. But before we get into that, if you like crochet and yarn content, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Also, like this video and comment down below your thoughts on today's topic. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at cozycrochet.co, where I share with you all my makes and anything else that I'm working on. Special shout out to all of our channel members. Channel members get to see videos a day earlier before anybody else, get exclusive and behind the scenes content, and whenever I come out with patterns, they're the first ones to get them for absolutely free. So if you would like to be a member of the channel, the link will be down below in the description. Also, this is actually the first time I'm announcing this, but I have created a Discord, so if you would like to take this discussion outside of YouTube, the link to the Discord is going to be down below. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get on with the video. Now, before we get started, if you don't know what cultural appropriation is, cultural appropriation refers to the borrowing or adoption of something as one's own when it did not originate from you or your culture. One really good example of this is when people used to wear traditional Indian headdresses as fashion statements, or people who tattoo like dream catchers on themselves, not knowing the true meaning and use of dream catchers in the Native American community. So when I was scrolling on the craft snark Reddit and came across somebody talking about AEGYO KNIT, I was obviously intrigued. If you don't know, the word AEGYO in Korean means like cutesy or girly. So I was like, oh, is this another like Korean knitwear designer? It is, but they're not Korean. Another Redditor posted this on the Craft Snark subreddit. I was first excited as a Korean when I first ran into AEGYO KNIT, until I found out it was run by some white lady. It's just annoying because I thought I had found some Korean knitters, but no. It's just someone using Korean as a cute accessory. And she only has a handful of patterns actually in Korean, while being named AEGYO KNIT and also naming patterns in Korean. Her website says, we choose the name to emphasize the feminine and playful nature of our way of creating patterns and our own personal ties to South Korea. The personal tie being that she's married to a Korean man. LMAO. IDK, I just annoyed by people using Korean as some chic and cute aesthetic. And it's really crazy because over the past few years, East Asian culture has really been popularized here in the States. People have been really getting into Japanese culture and South Korean culture due to K-pop, people really enjoying K-dramas. I know I'm definitely one of those people, but I'm more on the side of cultural appreciation. I've been to South Korea back in 2016. I actually have a whole vlog of this, so I'll link it down below if you're interested. Me and my husband love tteokbokki. I literally just had kimbap for lunch. And don't get me started on Korean fried chicken. And like anybody else, I love me a good K-drama. But what I don't do is use that as my own culture. I just simply appreciate it from afar. Another Redditor says, I bought 5 patterns from AEGYO KNIT and they all have really obvious mistakes in them. They either don't test knit or F up translations really bad. Somebody responded, nope, it's just as bad in Danish. So it looks like not only are we dealing with alleged cultural appropriation, but we're also dealing with really poor quality of patterns. Another Redditor says, as a Korean, as soon as I found out she was some white woman, I deleted her patterns from my Ravelry cart. Looking back, it's pretty obvious because a Korean designer wouldn't use romanticized Korean words to name a pattern. If they wanted to call it bear, they would just call it beat, not bio, pronounced biho, because that's not even an English borrow word for bear. There is an actual Korean word for bear. In other news, I follow a lot of Korean knitwear designers and they list off a couple of them. I'll link them down below. Another person makes a really good point. Thank you. I thought I was the only one feeling really uncomfortable about this. Also, her pattern names are so generically Korean, like Jeju, Seoul, Busan, and Umma, that it raised my hackles as an Asian person myself. It feels like a commodification of a surface level West Western idea of Korean, and that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Another Redditor adds, I haven't called it a cultural appropriation because I don't think it is, not to speak over Koreans, but to add to why it's uncomfortable to me as an East Asian American woman. One, if I ever make something of hers and tell people, they'll ask me if the designer is Korean, and I have to say no. She just married a Korean man and named her company AEGYO KNIT, which is kind of awkward. Two, I have been fetishized and I have seen how East Asian women are infantilized, oh my god, it's a big word, as demure and cutesy and feminine. And so yeah, I might be overly sensitive to that sort of thing, but as a white woman naming her business that's mostly adult women knitwear with AEGYO, it's kind of gross to me on that level. Not saying all AEGYO is all bad, but you know what I mean. I don't really know how to articulate this. I know she is in all likelihood and not meant to, but it has sort of that connotation for me, associating Korean women with baby-like cuteness and femininity. And when I read that comment, I was like, yo, there's a deeper problem to this, because we do find that people consider, you know, East Asian women very quiet and subservient and easily controlled. So if you don't know, AEGYO in Korea is used to identify with a cutesy or girly or baby like aesthetic. It makes a lot of people uncomfortable because when people try to do AEGYO, it's kind of like you're stimulating like you're a baby and you use baby talk and try to be like a kid. Some people enjoy it, some people don't. It's kind of like tomatoes. Either you like them or you hate them. But let's see what TikToker Grungy Granola has to say about the situation.
Here are my unsolicited thoughts on AEGYO KNIT as someone who is Korean American. This whole situation has been going on for quite some time. It's been pretty low-grade controversy, honestly, and I'm not even trying to stir anything up. But I saw someone else make a video on it and I just wanted to share my thoughts. So AEGYO KNIT is a fairly popular knitwear designer. She's based in Denmark, and her whole brand, identity, ethos, everything, all of the pictures and the names of her patterns are in Korean. Even the name of the brand, AEGYO KNIT, is AEGYO is a Korean word. And at first, when I learned about her, I was like, oh, this is a Korean designer. That's so cool, because I am half Korean. And then as I was looking through just some of her product photos and her website, I was like, I don't think that this person is Korean. So I'm confused as to why all of her patterns have Korean names, or Korean words in the names, I should say, and why the branding is like this. Why she has Hangul, the Korean lettering in the logo for her brand and stuff. So she's very well aware, and she gives a couple little nods to it. But it took some digging on her website, and it still does take some digging on her website to figure out exactly what's going on. So the designer, I believe her name is Caroline or Carolina, is married to a Korean man. So that's her into the Korean culture. And at least in her about page on her website, she claims that her brand is inspired by Korean culture and takes inspiration for the naming and the designs from Korean culture. But my problem is that I don't really see that reflected in the way that the patterns are written and advertised. For one, a lot of her patterns have Korean names, or the romanizations of Korean words in the names. For example, there is the AEGYO sweater, or the Haraboji sweater, or the Umma sweater. All of these are Korean words, but she does not always explain them in the descriptions for the patterns, which just strikes me as being a little bit odd, because for someone who's not Korean, just reading that, it might just seem oh yeah, this is a foreign word from a foreign culture. But if you were really trying to highlight Korean culture, why not go in depth with why you've named your patterns the way that you have? Another thing that somebody else brought up, which I was not aware of until very recently, is that only a handful of her patterns, and she has published many patterns, probably 20 or 30, only 6 or 7 of those are actually available in the Korean language. And this is, for me, what kind of solidified this as being a little bit of a red flag. Because if you are someone who claims to draw all of your inspiration and trying to pay an homage to Korean culture, why would you not intentionally also seek out Korean consumers for your brand? By not including them in the target audience of your patterns, which you can kind of see in the languages that she provides, which she provides her patterns in a variety of Scandinavian languages as well as English, of course. And it really seems to me that what she's doing is using her ties to Korean culture as more of a marketing tactic rather than trying to give genuine respect and homage to that culture. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are.
So, as you can see, everybody has thoughts on AEGYO KNIT. Now, up until this point, I haven't actually looked at her website, but let's go ahead and look at her website. Let's look at the patterns that she has available, and let's see how many Korean words that I recognize, okay? So here we have the AEGYO KNIT website. Now, I'm not gonna lie, looking at these patterns, I like them. But they are giving very much Scandinavian, Norwegian, knitwear designs. So let's go ahead and look at some of the names. This one is the Oppa sweater. Interesting name. Interesting name choice. So if you don't know, in Korean, oppa means like older brother. This is a word that a younger woman would say to their older brother or somebody who they would consider a brother. It's also like a flirtatious word for women to use, non-Korean women to use. So it's very interesting that she would use this term oppa. I'm very interested to see what she names her other patterns. Okay, so we have the Busan. Okay, so Busan is a city in Korea. Interesting is not giving me streets of Busan. I've been to Busan. This is not giving me streets to Busan. Okay, and it's crazy because most people who have ever heard of Busan is the Korean movie Train to Busan, right? You know, the zombie one? Most people only know the term Busan or ever heard Busan from that movie. Interesting. Okay, interesting. The amma cape. So amma in Korean, it means mother. Okay, interesting. Oh, okay, so another word that I recognize is Jeju. This is the Jeju sweater. Jeju is an island in South Korea. I don't understand I don't understand how this would remind you of Jeju Island. It's an Argyle sweater. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So we have the AEGYO sweater. So this is like, you know, AEGYO, cutesy. Think of cutesy, baby, girly. It's cute. That's about it. You know what I'm saying? But what about this is AEGYO? Over the top, cutesy. Sarang. Sarang means like love or I love you in Korean. I actually like this design a lot. It's actually really nice. What about this? I mean, when I think of sarang, maybe like romance. Nothing about this is romantic. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Nothing else I don't think stands out to me. Once again, I only know like basic words in Korean. And it's interesting that she would use the most basic words in some of her pattern names. Seoul blouse. I've been to Seoul, Korea. I'm gonna be honest, what about this is giving Seoul, Korea? I have no idea. It's giving me green pastures. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing about this is giving Seoul, Korea. I'm not surprised that there's a Japanese knot bag in her collection of patterns. Looks like a mohair Japanese knot bag. Oh, hana. Hana is one in Korean. Hana, cardigan. Interesting. So it's a few words in here that I recognize. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. It kind of gives... I watched a Korean K-drama once. I'm gonna name all my patterns after every word that I remember from this one K-drama. It's very interesting that she would use the amma, but she wouldn't use like words like appa, which is dad in Korean. Why oppa? Why is there going to be an appa sweater? I would think that there would be an appa sweater if you're having an amma sweater. I'm just saying. It's just really interesting that you have an amma and an oppa, but not an appa and a nuna. You know what I'm saying? And you have enough designs where you could have went with that family type of theme when naming your knits. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. That's just my thoughts. I like the designs of AEGYO KNIT. However, I don't like the cultural degradation that's going on, right? I think that on the top of it, it's very much clean beige aesthetic, very much commercialized of this already very rich culture. It's kind of like she took this very rich culture, scrubbed it clean of all the things that make South Korea amazing place and the people an amazing place, and she just kind of gave her watered down, scrubbed version of how she sees the country of South Korea, which is very upsetting. With that being said, let me introduce to you some of my favorite Korean designers and designs that are available on Ravelry right now. So my favorite Korean knitwear designer has got to be Sedan Yang. I don't know how I came across her, but what drew me into her designs is this Durami cardigan. This is a hanbok inspired knitwear cardigan. Now, if you don't know what hanbok is a traditional Korean attire, and it is so beautiful, it is so elegant, it is so flattering. Look how gorgeous this knitwear hanbok is. It is absolutely gorgeous. Her attention to detail is astonishing, and it just looks so great. I absolutely love her product photos and how she markets her projects, because it definitely gives that cultural aspect to her designs, and I absolutely love that. She also has this same design available in a coat version, so if you want something longer that you can wear in the colder months, there's a coat version of the same, which I think is so beautiful and elegant. Another one of her hanbok designs is the Blooming Daisy Jagori. I hope I'm also saying that right. It is absolutely gorgeous. Like, look at these product photos. Even the solid color ones, like, absolutely perfect, beautiful. Anybody can make them, anybody can wear them, and they are just so beautiful. They're so beautiful. And the piece de resistance, the tartan peja. Do you see how beautiful and intricate and attention to detail this is? This is pure talent, y'all. And I think we need to give this girl her flowers. So I will link her Ravelry page down below, as well as some other Korean designers if you decide you ever want to check them out. So as you can see, there's a stark difference between somebody actually being inspired by Korean heritage to make a knitwear design based off of traditional Korean wear than somebody just using the names as an accessory to the actual pattern. So I want to know down below in the comments, would you consider this cultural appropriation or cultural appreciation? I would love to know down below. Anyway guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, create something gorgeous. Bye guys.